Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Richmond, Virginia, it's time for Richmond Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Richmond Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. Today's episode is brought to you in part by SMN Square, providing building blocks to success and sustainability. Today on Richmond Business Radio, we have Jonathan Young, Director of Corporate Relations at the Reginald F. Lewis College of Business at Virginia State University. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us about your work.
Yeah, thank you. I often consider myself the most fortunate man on the planet. I work with two constituency groups. One, a group of most outstanding undergrads at Virginia State University, most of whom are from right here, from the Commonwealth of Virginia, and they're most special persons on the planet to me, and their approach is and our approach is a little different at Virginia State University when we juxtapose how we provide premium interface to our second constituency group, i.e. a portfolio of over 600 companies ranging from Fortune 500s to sole proprietors. And everything that we do, we aim to achieve really three objectives. One is to refine our students' soft skills or the interpersonal skills. Two, to augment their career awareness. Candidly, a lot of our young people, they arrive 18 years of age, and like any other 18-year-old, they're very naive as it relates to all the different kind of career options out there. We aim to change that. And then third, the third objective in everything that we do is to develop real-world skills not often learned in a traditional classroom. So our approach is very unorthodox. It is very unconventional, but it works. The results speak for themselves, and we couldn't be prouder of our young people.
Can you talk a little bit about what kind of drew you to that path? You mentioned it's unconventional. What kind of was the catalyst behind taking this kind of a tact?
Yeah, thanks. Well, candidly, first and foremost, observation. I've had the privilege of working at the highest level of organizations, including the Office of the Governor here in the Commonwealth, and my other job. I've ran for public office now twice, and elected to the school board in the City of Richmond now twice in my second term, and more than a decade ago, I convened a focus group of some leading persons in industry in the Richmond region. We were downtown Richmond, 4 hours over lunch. My only charge to these folks who were representative of all different kinds of industry was to really reinvent how we do business education. And what was born out of that focus group was a very different kind of curriculum. Specifically, it's small group. It's all experiential learning. Hands-on is another way to describe it. And it's all contingent on relationship building. And so in the last, more than a decade, we've provided our students opportunity to interface with now literally, and your listeners will perhaps roll their eyes when they hear me cite the statistic, but it's true, but it's literally now tens of thousands of persons in industry, and we do that in a way that recognizes that everyone has something different to offer. So the genesis of our approach was candidly observation and seeing that whether it's K-12 education or it's higher education, most folks just get this wrong. We often remind persons something that was said 3,000 years ago. And a quote I think that perhaps best describes what we aim to achieve is, I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I experience and I understand. too frequently, again, irrespective of the grade level, if it's elementary or secondary or even in college, people think that to teach, they think that education is someone standing in front of a room and talking at a group of students who are sitting there patiently, quietly taking notes, perhaps. And that's not what we do here at Virginia State University. Instead, our students, they're on their feet for the duration of the session. The louder the room, the better, because it signals that students are engaged and learning. We don't invite folks to come down and present or do a dog and pony show or lecture or fill in the blank, because all that constitutes a monologue. And our students, like anyone really, irrespective of their age, just aren't interested. Instead, they want a dialogue. And so we're really proud of what we've been able to achieve here.
So now walk me through what it's like when you invite a business leader into the classroom. What is required of them in order to be effective in communicating and educating your students?
Just having spent some time on this planet. That's it. It's a terrific question, and people all the time share with me, I'm not prepared to do that. I don't think I can teach, and I ask them have you ever been party to a situation where you had to resolve conflict? Have you ever had to sell anything, including yourself, in an interview? Have you ever had to synthesize some information? Take a whole lot of information and make it as simple and straightforward as you can. So yeah, I don't mean to provide a trite or jib answer and saying that, just having spent some time on this planet, that's really all that it takes. How does it work? We invite folks to come down, and granted, everything's a little different now because of COVID, but they arrive, and we provide them opportunity to plug and play. You come in and you meet these young professionals, these 18 to 22-year-olds who are eager and have all the enthusiasm you would expect in a college student, and we provide different role play scenarios. So students, for example, when they learn to sell, we don't have somebody stand in front of a group of students and tell them how to sell. Instead, we throw them right into the lion's den, into the deep end of the pool, and they've got to sell. The persons from industry, they come in and they critique the student's performance. They interrupt them mid-sentence. They're coaching them up, sharing their own anecdotal little stories about how they had to address X or Y. And in doing it, students, they learn to be confident, capable communicators. And again, not just pertinent to that one topic, but when we work on, for example, conflict resolution, we provide real world business scenarios. When we teach our students how to write memos or emails, we don't have someone come in and give a long soliloquy. Instead, we invite folks to bring in real emails, and the students compose replies. And our friends from industry, they critique the replies relevant to meeting persons where they're at, and what words to use and what words not to use. So it's a very different approach. But our students, and I tell you, as much as our students get out of it, I have to share this with you. I think our industry participants, they enjoy it more. It's often, for a lot of folks, the most rewarding part of their week.
Now, when you're working with students, young people, have you noticed any trends over the years of maybe how they view business or getting into business? Do you find more people are more thinking entrepreneurial? Do you think they're more thinking more kind of service oriented? Some public-private partnership, or kind of doing more community work? What are you seeing when it comes to trends in business?
Yeah, boy, you hit the nail on the head. Absolutely. not terribly old, but I'm more than twice our age of our seniors. And to your point, yes, more and more folks are interested in being entrepreneurs and starting their own business. It's often described sometimes as the gig economy, and a lot of our students, they arrive with even if they can't per se articulate it yet, they arrive with these values or attributes that comport well with being a business owner, and so it's our aim to recognize that right away, to help students and self-identify, and then to provide them the space, the oxygen to go and do it. So we have an entrepreneurship center and convene regular workshops, again, hands-on, experiential, providing interface with real business owners, and then what's more, we put them in an environment where they can go out and they can compete for capital. We have a mentoring program. And yes, I mean, to your point, absolutely. More and more of our students are interested in not going to work an 8-to-5 job somewhere, but instead are interested in a 7-day a week, 24 hours a day, creating something that they can call their own, and being a part of this very new reality that some people are experiencing because of necessity, either first because of all the shifts in the labor market, the displacement, because so many industries now something of the past, but also more recently just because of COVID and before that, the 2008 Great Recession. So students, they're savvy. They may not be able to articulate everything in the way that I just did, but they have a pulse on the economy. They get it.
Now, do you think that COVID did accelerate some of these things, this work from home, the remote learning, the fact that now an employee can live anywhere and work anywhere? Do you think that accelerated some of their kind of embracing this gig economy, as you mentioned?
Yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, the reality is that a lot of our undergrads were already there, and this just, to your point, either accelerated or augmented the opportunity. I even when we resume some kind of normalcy, and I'm a bit more bullish on that than others as it relates to chronology. I think as soon as the summer, I think we're going to be prayerfully largely back to some kind of normalcy. But even then, I do. A lot of our young professionals, and then also a lot of the companies that we work with, ranging from the big hierarchical organizations with a lot of bureaucracy to the very lean, small entrepreneurial shops, have all shared with me that they anticipate that some of the lessons that we have learned in the last year will likely continue. I expect a lot of the folks that left their bricks and mortar lease, most will probably go back, but there will be some that don't. And we knew about all those trends even before COVID. It just, I think the way you said it is most apt. It just accelerated it.
Now, how big of a threat do you think it is, the demonization of business and successful entrepreneurs that as greedy exploiters? Do you see that as a threat? And maybe you see other threats that we can talk about a little bit, where going through a program like yours can really help a young person especially understand the impact that business makes in their community?
Yeah. Our students, so to give you some idea, 40 42% of our students are first generation. They're first in the immediate family to attend college. Over half of our students originate from a household that is defined as socioeconomically modest. They're earning, that households are earning less than $60,000 a year. And so I share that to say that our students arrive from a little different place than, for example, I went to undergrad at William & Mary, and, very few, if any of my friends, my colleagues in my 4 years in Williamsburg worked during the semester. Yes, of course, in the summertime, but most of our students, before COVID, I'm referring to, but certainly now, because of it, they were working, many of them 40 hours a week, some of them more than that, while they were in school. So full-time student, full-time worker, and FTE somewhere, and even for the folks who had a part-time job working 25, 30 hours a week. Point is, they had a lot in their plates. I think that context, I think that perspective lends itself really well to prioritization. And I'm pleased that a lot of our students, they prioritize what matters most, and that's family, and that's faith, we regularly have the conversation here at Virginia State University about how to own your own brand, and owning that own brand is to be unconventional, is to take the path least traveled. We encourage our students to not take the highway with everyone else on it, and that highway, granted, has the GPS. It's got the bright lights and all the terrific signs, but instead to think about that windy little road on the side of the mountain that granted is perilous, because if you step off the side, you surely will perish. But the experience in getting to your destination would be so much more rewarding. It's just a little different approach. A lot of business schools, a lot of B schools, is often abbreviated. They rely on the case studies, right? And the case studies always emphasize the big corporate titans, and the examples that we can all cite day in, day out. We do some of that too. I don't want to mislead your listeners, but where we really try to distinguish ourselves here at VSU is telling those untold stories, celebrating failure. Candidly, we remind our students all the time that to ride a bicycle, you've got to fall off a few times and skin your knees. Unfortunately, academia, and I use that term to include K-12, but also higher ed, of course. It unfortunately celebrates too frequently those people and those places that seemingly we know better, but seemingly did everything right. And sometimes, we're afraid that kind of messaging is contrarian to true entrepreneurship values, and it's the latter that we're really trying to inculcate in all of our students.
So now, what's the most rewarding part of the job for you? Is it when that light bulb goes off in the classroom, or when one of your students says, I got a job somewhere and now I'm doing something that I only, dreamed of? Where is the reward for you, where you're high-fiving the folks in your department?
Yeah, it's all the above. It's when a student comes in at the beginning of the semester, and they, at the end of the first session, interfacing with 10 companies in the room. At the end of the session, true story, young lady breaks down and cries. says, I can't do this. I can't do this. Because they are, to say shy would be an understatement. Their entire academic experience, perhaps since they were in kindergarten, was something like the following: sit down and shut up. Let someone who presumably knows a lot more than you, a teacher, instructor, stand here in front of the room and tell you everything you need to know. And they've been able to do okay in this approach, coast their whole career, their academic career, by sitting there and sitting quiet. And because of it, though, they're now introduced to a very, very different kind of academic experience, and they literally break down and cry. But by the end of the semester, they are a confident, capable communicator, looks you in the eye, will retort with the best of them. And this particular young lady I'm thinking of then secures an internship with the fire department doing finances in the City of Richmond. Or a young man who gets so heated, so hot in class, that another instructor comes walking in thinking there was something amiss, there was something going wrong, because he was literally raising his voice in an argument with one of the guest instructors, knowing that other folks probably would have shut it down, but my goodness, what better than it signals these students are taking ownership in the curriculum. They're engaged. They're not just there to check a box. But then, yes, when our students, when they secure jobs, internships, and scholarships, maybe the best part, both my parents are now retired. They were both teachers. They're both now retired. And I remember as a child, at the grocery store or wherever, invariably all the time, someone would come up to my parents and they would say, "Mr. Young," or Ms. Young, "I'm so-and-so." And, they were all grown up now, many years removed from when they were in the classroom, of course. And now to have, in the same way, students coming back and saying, "Hey, I'm in Dallas, Texas, and I'm doing sales for IBM, or I'm in San Bernardino, California, and I'm now CEO of a tennis academy," and you just cannot put a price on that.
So now for you, what's next? How are you attacking, I guess it's the end of the school year there now, or approaching it, and you're getting ready to plan for next year?
Yeah. Looking forward to when we can resume some kind of normalcy. It's been a hard year for us. I think it's been a harder year for us than other institutions of higher learning, only because of everything that I just described. We really, our students before COVID, in a normal week, in 7 days, they would spend close 5 to 6 days. We would have folks at different networking events and all around town. And so our students, they took a disproportionate hard hit. So yes, looking forward to getting folks back on campus, getting industry back on campus. In a normal semester, we host over 250 companies in the classroom to do all the things that I already spoke to. So resuming some of what allows us to distinguish ourselves from everyone else.
If somebody wants to learn more about your program, get a hold of you or somebody on your team, what's the best website for them to check out?
Absolutely. It's business.vsu, that's short for Virginia State University, .edu. So business.vsu.edu. I'm really fortunate. We're really fortunate to work with a 25-time Emmy Award-winning producer, Jesse Vaughn. On that website, you'll find some of our film, some of our video that we've produced for NBC 12, our newsletters, our list of our student accomplishments, my contact information, and we would invite anybody who is interested in a very different approach to education to consider contacting us.
Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for sharing your story today. You're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
Well, you're too kind. Grateful for the opportunity to share a little bit about our students and how they're achieving and how industry partners with us. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We will see you all next time on Richmond Business Radio.